Hey, hey, welcome to Your Best Podcast, your place for information, conversation, and experts to help you live your best. Today, we have Nicole Kelly, who is the author of Losing a Friendship, Finding Myself.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah.
delicious stuff, especially for us adults. We're going to get right into it. Nicole, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Clearly, we are vibing with the greens. I'm loving it. Here at Your Best Podcast, we like to get into conversation that uplifts, and sometimes we start with a game. So we're going to start off with a game with you, okay? So this is meant to be so much fun. And since we're going to be talking about friendship, okay, I would like you to, off the top, name 3 inanimate objects that you would consider a friend.
Oh my goodness. Okay. There's no prep for this, so let's go. I'm going to say my weights because I'm actually sitting next to my workout room and I would be lost without my weights every morning. I am going to say my water because I chug it constantly, all day, every day. And I'm actually going to say my bracelet because I'll talk about this in my book a little bit, but I always have a bracelet on. This one says fearless, and it is my friend all day, every day, because it reminds me that this year my word was fearless, and that is how I'm living my life.
Yes, yes. I love this snapshot into you. And I can so relate. Listen, I tell you, this morning was leg day for me. So I feel you on the weights. Yes, me too, right? I mean, it's challenging, but it's just so powerful. And we're working out those larger muscles and feeling so accomplished at the end. I too have my water, honey. Let's go.
Do you like to be sore? I love to be sore because then I'm like telling myself I worked out enough. No, you don't.
No, I agree with you. When I feel sore, I feel accomplished. It's this great balance between I have achieved something, but if it's too crunchy sore, then I'm like, uh-oh, I can't even get out of a chair. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But I do like feeling sore, and I also like sweating.
Love sweating, but only when I'm working out. Like once I've got my hair and makeup on, there's no sweat.
Yes.
That's the time to play.
Yes, I love this so much. And as far as the bracelets, I do have one on today too. That's very special to me.
Okay.
I recently started wearing it again. Believe it or not, this little gold bracelet
Yeah.
is actually, I was a baby. You know, when they, pose you like barely sitting up as a toddler, and it was on me. Of course, it has two,
Yeah.
but I've been wearing it again because I'm also feeling like a coming home to my truest self.
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. Does it
So
have an engraving or anything on it? Or
it does. It says my first name. So my name is Tracy Marie. Teemaree is a combination of the two, and I've been Teemaree and being referred to as Teemaree for decades now. But Tracy, it says so fine. I mean, you can barely even see it on there, but like for me, it's like a coming home to my truest self. And recently that's been very important to me.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
are you an entrepreneur, creative, or leader, and you're facing tough decisions, challenging transitions, or burnout? My Transformation Through Joy method is here for you. You don't have to do it alone. Learn and implement the method quickly through private coaching flexible to your busy schedule. Learn more at teemaree.com. That's TEEMAREE.com.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and thank you for playing along. I just love these wonderful opportunities to really dive in because ultimately it's this heart-to-heart connection, which I know you are going to share a lot about with us. So you wrote a book and it mentions losing a friendship. So I really would kind of like to start there. How or why was that friendship lost, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Yeah, and I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. Like everything else, it was a process, that we got to that point. And, it started with small hurts and, ended up with big hurts. But really, when I ended the friendship, it was because I asked her if we could just sit down and talk about it, because I don't know how else you figure out a path forward without just sitting down and having the hard conversation. And when I asked her to do that, she said it wasn't a priority for her. And it was in that moment that I thought, what am I doing? Like if it is not a priority for you to sit down and figure this out, then we need to figure out a different solution. And so I did decide to end the friendship. I even this morning I was thinking I wish I had done it more elegantly, but I know that in that moment in time, I just had to shut out the noise. I had to stop communicating with her. I had to stop listening to all of our other friends and all of the other influences in our life, and really just figure out who I am in this moment and who I want to be, and how I had gotten off track with all of that. And so I did end the friendship, but it was the beginning of a journey that I would not trade for anything in the world, because I'm a different person now. And I really did feel compelled to write the book, to share my story, because I do think that I can help people in sharing that. So, sorry, I'll
No,
pause there.
please go. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, as painful as it was, again, like I wouldn't trade any of it. And I've been listening to a bunch of your podcasts to get ready. And one of the things I love that you talk about is like the practical steps. Like, okay, all of this happened. Now what? And
Yes.
so over the past year, and while I was writing the book, I was trying everything to figure out like what went wrong, who am I, why am I here, what is the point of all of this? And what I ended up with, I hope, in the book are steps that people can follow, are like, these are the things that I really truly believe in my core will help people no matter what you're facing. Like my catalyst was a friendship breakup. But I think the catalyst for a lot of people is just feeling out of alignment. Like just something feels off and you can't quite put your finger on it. And so I really do believe that, I share my story about the breakup because that was the catalyst. And I think that context matters. But really the book is about my journey to healing and the steps that I took that I feel are pretty universal for people.
Well, see, you said two key things that I'd love to circle back on because they are very important, especially for adults, I feel.
Yeah.
Of course, younger children are just so innocent, and it's, that's a separate thing. Then you get into adolescence and maybe young adulthood, and things begin to complicate. But I kind of feel as adults, like full-fledged adults, due to just schedules and the kind of insulation of the roles we play in life, friendships can be a really tricky thing. And when we have a friendship that has been ongoing, you said two things that are really, really key. And I think it's really cool to dial in on those. One was you had said that you noticed something was off. It started with little hurts, and little hurts is a big deal because they do pile up. And so I applaud you for noticing that. And, just like I'd like to highlight that because folks, those little hurts really can be an indicator, right? As to, hey, something is really off and I need to address it. And so that's a big key. But you also said that you wanted to talk to her about it. And the reason why I think it's so, so cool to highlight that is because as adults, if we feel like this is a person that's been around a long time, I love this person, or I have so many other friendships and relationships that are intertwined, I don't want to rock the boat maybe. I'm not out there just getting a fresh crop of friends every, weekend anymore. And so a lot of times these little hurts build, maybe resentment also builds, and the conversation just kind of slowly stops. So I'd love that you chose to talk to her, because then you have a true compass of, hey, I gave this a true shot. I didn't ghost this person. I didn't just also put my needs on the side and stay hurting. That's phenomenal. Can you speak a little bit? Because I think it's really a big deal with your healing. You let me know. When you did have this conversation, clearly it must have hurt when she was like, I'm just not into that. I don't want to, it's not a big deal. Can you talk a little bit about kind of maybe how you worked through that to continue on to the path of what was best for you, especially with all these things going on, mutual friends, etc.?
Yeah, and that's such a great. So I will tell you, the conversation that we were having was over text, which also is a problem because you don't know what is going on the other side of a phone. which is why I wanted to get together in person. But one of the things that I've changed a lot about myself is no more rage texting. First of all, I'm thinking we're adults. Like, why are we rage texting at each other? Like, this is just very, very silly to me. But you know how sometimes when you're just in that heat of the moment, like I can feel myself shaking right now. Like when you get that text and it just immediately something angry and then you regret it. And so one of the biggest changes that I made was like pausing. Like I've learned the power of pause, and it applies in so many areas of life. But I think especially this day and age, when you see something that makes you mad, when you get a text that makes you mad, like the most important thing to me is to pause and to just think about that for a moment. Um, I took an extreme measure with her when I ended the friendship in that moment, and then I blocked her everywhere. I just needed zero contact. And so kind of a lesser way to do that is just the power of the pause. But you're right, you know, those little hurts just start to add up. And one of the things I did was start to pull away. But of course, people feel that energy, you know,
Hmm.
like you might think that you're doing the right thing in the moment. And I do agree that sometimes the space is helpful. But to your point, it was important to me. I valued the relationship enough that I wanted to sit down and have at least one more conversation. And in my heart, I knew there was a possibility that we would walk away from that conversation saying, this is just not the right relationship for us at this moment in time. And I would have been okay with that, you know, but I just think if you don't have the conversation and say the things, like you can't assume that people know why you're hurt, you know, or that
Yes.
you know where they're coming from. So that's why for me, the conversation was a non negotiable. And for her to say it was not a priority just kind of told me everything I needed to know about that relationship.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in all of that. I wasn't always, I definitely was very much a big member of the cutoff club. Like, yo, if you feel dangerous or untrustworthy or something, like, bye, you're out. And like, then I gained some emotional maturity and I was able to see that even though I was experiencing those hurts or those feelings or that perception, without really trying to address it with the person, I wasn't doing something healthy for myself. It
Right.
felt healthy because it felt like this is how I can keep myself safe or keep myself away from whatever that is. But ultimately, if we don't speak about it, then we also don't release the valve of pain that we need to release, and the clarity, and give the option to the other person to maybe say, hey, I didn't even realize, or this is
Yeah.
what's going on actually, so I love that you did that. That's so cool. um okay, so you go through this and then you start to find yourself. Tell us what this looks like, especially, imagine, like, so let's say someone's listening right now and they can't even imagine themselves even having that hard conversation because they're like, this could blow up my whole like friend life,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
But you start to have really good benefits from this. So tell us about that.
Yeah, and I think that that is such an important point because I probably would have had this conversation earlier, but I was deeply entwined with our friend group, and I knew the potential implications of ending this friendship. You know, it causes problems, you know,
Yeah.
with the extended friend group. But I think the thing to think about is at what cost. You know, I stayed in this relationship where I was hurting. We couldn't talk about things. I was feeling out of alignment. And so there's a cost to that. You know, there's a cost either way. And I think that part of the journey is just figuring out what matters to you. That's why one of the first chapters in my book, and it's something that I don't know why it took me so long to do, but just figuring out what your values are. And I had not spent the time like going through the exercise of, you know, there's a lot of things you can look at online. It gives you a bunch of words and you kind of like narrow it down. But I had never done that for myself. And
Mhm.
once I finally like sat down and like figured out what mattered to me, that becomes your guiding light. And then decisions become a little bit easier because it's like, is this in alignment with my values or not? And you can choose to do it, but you know you're going to have that pit of like, it just feels a little bit off to me. And what I realized through this journey was that I had spent the majority of my life trying to fit in. You know, I
Mhm.
like friend groups they are important. I believe me. I love my friends, and we all need them. Like that's a part of the key to happiness in life is like having those meaningful relationships.
Uh-huh.
But I was fitting in so hard that I lost sight of who I was and what made me happy. And so that's why I think if people are feeling that, like, well, I don't think I could have that conversation with my friend, and what if I do lose my whole friend group? What I would just talk with them about is like, but how are you feeling now? And if you are feeling out of alignment with all of that, it's just something to think about. I'm not saying blow up your friendships,
Right.
absolutely not. But I am saying to take a closer look at what really matters to you. And what I will say is that I was so afraid of losing my friend group, but when I finally acted in alignment, I've opened up all of these other people that are becoming my friends that are more aligned with who I want to be. And it's scary because people say that, but you're like, am I really going to go find new friends? And the answer is yes,
Yeah.
because like I was talking about with the energy before, you always sense the energy that people are bringing. And once you start to act in alignment with your values, you're going to start attracting that. And it really is incredible, like on the other side of all of the pain and the hurt and, figuring this all out.
Yes, it so is. It so is. I love what you're sharing because it's absolutely true. When a big part of the assistance that I provide when I coach my clients is that, well, what are the values? And this is why, because it seems so easy and can be simple, but it's actually quite challenging. It's not something that we normally do. And our values, not like our moral and our character, but our values, like what we value or prioritize in life, does change in various seasons. What I valued as a 20-year-old is not on the docket for today. Like this
Well,
is not.
even last year, just depending on what's going on. But like,
Yeah.
right, I mean, but that's exactly
No.
it.
Yeah.
Everything we talk about is not one and done. Like with my values, I look at them every month and I
Yeah.
say to myself, like, number one, where have I lived these? And number two, where haven't I? So what do I want to do differently next month? But it is not like, well, I chose my values and so now I'm good for the rest of my life,
No
like
way. No
this
way.
constant dialogue. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And just like your bracelet and the words that you're using for this year, that's another practice, right? You're right. Like year to year, like what's in alignment with your goals? What's in alignment with your values or priorities for your time, your health, your relationships? That's going to maybe change even season to season, depending on what's going on. So it's like, it's really cool that you were able to identify like, hey, I really need to look at this. You did it. And you start to see these benefits of these wonderful now new people and new experiences that are coming in to life that feel like I'm home. This is
Really.
it.
No, I was just having that conversation this week. And the other thing I want to say, because I want to be really fair about this, I did not do this all on my own. I've had lots of therapy. I've had lots of business coaches, life coaches. I think I heard you say you can do it on your own. It's just a little bit harder,
Yeah.
And why not bring in people that can help you through this journey? Because I think there's so much that's like stuck inside of us that causes us to behave certain ways. And until you start to do the work, you really don't know why. And I think sometimes people think therapy is like to heal these big traumas, but they don't have to be big traumas. You told a story about falling off a bike and like how that like impacts the decisions that you make. Like there just could be these little things that happened usually in your childhood that are impacting who you are as an adult. And if you don't do that work, you're never going to uncover why. You're going to keep doing the same things and wondering why you're, getting the same results. And so I did want to give a shout out to therapists and coaches everywhere because I would not be where I am today with like that kind of led me up to this past year of, really digging in. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing that because as a coach and someone that like dedicates my life to helping people make these changes, when it comes from me, it's like who knows what people might think, they're like, oh, well, that's just because you want to gain clients or something. But no, it's because I also have lived using this work. Like I've used this work and also needed the help of coaches and therapy and stuff. And I've seen the difference. And I've also seen not only the difference that it makes, but the time it saves and the things it frees us from that we can't even see.
Yeah. You said something earlier about it being simple, and it is simple,
Yeah.
but it's also the hardest thing you'll ever do. You
Yes.
know?
Because you're facing things that is, it's really like there's all kinds of stuff. It's like, oh, wow, you have to admit certain things, or oh, wow, you're
Yes.
realizing certain things, or oh, wow, now that you are aware of this either change or better beginning or this person you want to be. Well, what about all this that you're doing that doesn't match that? And having to
Exactly.
answer to that. And it's just this wonderful, phenomenal ride we get to take if we choose it that lets
Absolutely.
us to truly live better and better every day. It's so cool.
I know. I totally agree with you.
So you have I took a little peek. I took a little peek and I could
Okay.
see on your Instagram that you have just a wonderful community and you have lots of wonderful friends around you. But, what do friendships mean to you now from this healed place, right? From this landed, grounded place?
I love that. I think for me now, it all starts with what we had talked about. Like now that I'm clear in my values and I'm clear about the energy that I want to attract into my life, I just feel like my relationships are more genuine. I'm no longer fitting in, trying to guess, like, who do they want Nicole to be? Like, do I need to be the party girl? Do I need to be the workout girl? Do I need to be X, Y, and Z? I'm like, no, no. What do I want? And the great part about all of that is that when you're true to yourself, and if people don't like it, good. Because that just means like this wasn't meant to be a relationship that we were forcing into working out. So I think I just feel a greater sense of peace now because I'm at peace with myself and I'm bringing that energy to the relationship. And it's just, they're genuine. That doesn't mean you're not going to have conflict. I think it just means like you're able to talk about it.
Yes.
And if it is a priority, then you just talk through it because and I think you said, like, I wasn't always this way. Like, I definitely did not grow up. We didn't talk about things a lot. We didn't apologize ever. So there's a lot of things, that you need to do the work on in order to be a good person in the relationship. But I would just say my friendships now they're peaceful, they're loving, they mean the world to me. And I'm happy with myself, and I'm happy with the relationships that I have in my life right now.
I love that so much. And I really love also what you said about friendships being able to handle conflict. I think that's so important. Of course, I don't want to have conflicts with anyone, but I do believe that the mark of a real relationship is that you've had some tough conversations and been able to remain in that relationship. It's really easy to be like, "Oh, that person's a friend." And I'm notorious for that. Like, so to me, you're a friend before anything else, and
Yeah,
then we can, see what happens. Like I'm not of that kind of proving, because I've met people like that where it's like you got to kind of get in first, right?
totally. Yes.
So I will be like, "Hey, that's a friend. That's someone I know." But really like friend where like I know that we can count on each other. It's easy to be like, "Okay, well, yeah, we have exchanged kind words and it's always been great. Love it." But have we been able to say, "Hey, I didn't like that," or "Hey, I need you for something," or, "Hey," something that's a little bit more, deep, and especially with conflict, and be able to make it through. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I agree.
So, what would you say to adults that fear losing friendships?
Number one, don't fear it. I think the funny part is that people don't talk about it a lot. What I have found in sharing my book is that everyone has an experience with this, either that they did end a friendship, that they stayed in a friendship too long that just wasn't working out anymore. Because I think we hold on to these ideas. Well, I've been friends with them forever, so why would I change that? Um, there's that famous quote, and I talk about it in the book. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think sometimes we get too stuck on like, this person has been my friend for 10 years. How could I walk away from that? But if it's no longer serving you, why would you spend the time on that? Like I'm sure everyone like me, we're very busy. There's a lot of things going on in the life. And I think you want to put your energy where it matters the most. So, um, first I want to say I wouldn't give up like that. I don't go into a relationship thinking, well, this isn't going to work out. I don't think any of us do that, you know. So I would still try, you know, if you feel like a friendship is going in the wrong direction, I would still try to have the conversation, but not fearing that it's, you know, not going to work out. I think the byline of my book is how a friendship breakup catapulted me into the person I was meant to be. And that catapult, I just felt that word so strongly when I was writing this book, because that's what it felt like to me. It's like that pulling and pulling and pulling. And the minute you let go, it's like everything changes. And so it was, I knew I was holding on too tight, that something that was not meant for me.
Yeah.
And so that catapult was the act of letting go. And so that's what I would say. I would say just don't hold on to things that aren't meant for you, and it will be okay.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And kind of, what would you say? What is your best tip for adults who want to find themselves?
Oh my goodness. Just one.
Yes.
Here's where I'm going to start, because you can do it tomorrow. I think the most important thing you can do every day is how you start your day. And it's one of the biggest changes that I made. And I kept like increasing the amount of time I spent on myself every morning, and I'm up to an hour now. But it's a magical hour for me. It is my time to myself. The most important thing is that you cannot spend that hour scrolling on your phone. Period. End of story. I don't want to hear don't tell me anything. Don't pick up your phone. What you can spend that hour doing, what I recommend, where I'm at right now, I start with gratitude every day of the week. And it could be like, I'm grateful for my coffee. Or it could be, I am grateful that I have a great job, that I have a great family. Like it could be deep, it could be nothing. But I start with gratitude 100% of the time. And then I usually read. But it's just, that is my time to myself, to ground myself in my day, like who I want to be for the day. And we all know that, you know, as soon as you open up your email or you go to the office or your kids wake up, like everything goes crazy, but you can have that. And it doesn't have to be an hour. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. What I would recommend for anyone trying to find themselves is to start first thing in the morning. And if you start with 1 minute tomorrow morning, that is 1 minute that you spent on yourself, not on your phone.
Yes, I love that so, so much. I also have my morning routine that's very, very sacred and important to me. Yes, absolutely. So I have my spiritual practice that I'll do first thing. Then I do my workout. I've now been doing walks, which have been really, really awesome. So I'm doing like, aren't they awesome? Yes, I absolutely go outside. So I have my spiritual practice, I do my workout, and then I do my walk. And then it's like, then I come to my coffee and I'm like, okay, let's marinate. And depending on what's happening in that morning, you know, that may mean I get some extra minutes to like kind of be quiet or read a magazine or, you know, and it's just phenomenal. It really, really sets the tone of the day and makes me feel totally clear and cared for. So that's a phenomenal tip. And I love that you shared that. Yes, yes, yes. And no to the phone. No phone. I open my phone because part of my spiritual practice, like it's in my phone, but no social media, nothing that would call the attention outward. And as a matter of fact, you said gratitude. So can I recommend this to you if you'd like?
Yes,
so I created a gratitude soundtrack. You can get it on Spotify or YouTube, and it, you know, stream for free, save for free. And in it has a meditation, prayer, first person prayer, and an affirmation track. You can listen to one or all three in a few minutes. So if you ever want that, get it, girl, make it, enjoy it and increase your gratitude, because that absolutely unleashes so much for your life. Now that I gave you something, you tell all of us about where we can get your book and where we can get more of you.
Well, thank you so much. So first of all, it is called Losing a Friendship, Finding Myself. It is on Amazon. I do also have a website, NicoleKellyInc.com. And yes, please follow me on Instagram. It's Nicole T. Kelly. I do like to post quotes from my book, places that I have found inspiration. I'm trying to create a great community there. Would love for you to be a part of it as well.
Yay! Oh my gosh. See, we're just full of so much good. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Your Best Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and even give us a review. And hey, don't forget, there are plenty of resources in the show notes for you. See you in the next episode.